Have you ever had those moments in your life when you get done watching a news program on TV, one of the evening news, or you become aware of reading the Valley News or hearing through Facebook of events in the life of this community that display a sense of brokenness and pain and hopelessness, or maybe out of your own life experience, and you find yourself asking yourself, God, we get Jesus was your plan A. You sent Him to show us what your love is like, to offer us forgiveness, to help us draw close to you. But He left. He was resurrected. He ascended. So what is your plan B? You ever find yourself asking that question? God, what is your plan B for this world, for this community, for my own life? What is God's plan B? In Matthew's Gospel, Jesus says, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. All of God's authority, all of God's power has been given to Him. And then what does He do with it? The very next thing He says is to His disciples, go therefore and make disciples, baptize, teach them, invite them to obey all that I have told you. He's given all of God's power and authority, and He doesn't hold on to it. What does He do? He gives it away to you and to me. In John's Gospel, in another resurrection account, Jesus goes into the upper room where the disciples are gathered, and He says to them, God the Father has sent me, and just as He has sent me, so now I send you. And then He breathes on them the breath of the Spirit and says, peace be with you. That breath of God, which is formed over creation from the very beginning of time, which brought order out of chaos and renewal out of brokenness. And guess what God's plan B is? Us. Go, He says. All power and authority has been given to me. I give it to you. Just as God has sent me, so now I send you. Guess what, my friends? We are God's plan B. How does that make you feel? You can answer. How does that make you feel? Great. I love it. How else? A little overwhelming maybe at times, right? Scary. I know. Me? But God, you know what I didn't do yesterday that I should have done. And yet God is choosing us to be the carriers, to be the plan B of God's desire for all of the world to experience the salt and light of the grace and love of Christ. We are God's plan B. And He doesn't just leave us alone. He says at the end, He said, and I will be with you till the end of the age. But He also reminds us, you have these teachings that others have kept of how I was and how I invited you to live and to love and about when you run into people that you have an adversarial relationship with. They almost feel like enemies. How He said, pray for those who are your enemies. Or you see people by the side of the road are marginalized or disconnected or hopeless. And He says, go and be with them. People who are hungry, He says, go and feed them. People in need of hope and faith, He says, go and be the salt and light in their world, in their lives, in their sense of who they are. He invites us to be plan B. And to take the teachings He has given to us and continue to let them grow and write them on our hearts. We are God's plan B. God's choosing us, inviting us, empowering us. So what does it look like when we're God's plan B? Before I answer that question, I want to kind of mention something very briefly about another kind of plan B I think that we often find ourselves struggling with. You know, that plan B in life, when you had a plan for life, when your life was moving along in a certain direction and it was heading in a particular trajectory and it was a positive trajectory, and all of a sudden something happens to pull the rug out of that plan. And you find yourself looking not just for a plan B, but you find yourself looking for a plan C or a plan D or plan E, and you're asking yourselves, what is your plan, God? When you come home from work, and the woman or man you have been married to says, I don't think I love you anymore. God, what's your plan? When you are called by the boss into the room at work and he says, I'm sorry, but we have no more work for you. As of Monday, we're laying you off. God, where is your plan in this? Or maybe you've had a medical event or someone you love has been in an accident and it's totally changed and transformed your life. Or you're in the middle of dealing with that and you find yourselves crying out, God, what is your plan here? The Bible never says, God does not let bad things happen. In fact, when you read the Bible, the very second story in Scripture is the story of Cain and Abel, two brothers who engaged in violence with each other. One killed the other brother. The very second story of the Bible is already a reality of our human condition in our life together. God never said He would not let bad things happen. But God does save those and deliver those who walk through the valley of the shadow of death. God is the God of the hopeless. God is the God of the distraught. God does help those who cannot help themselves. God does come to those who feel as if life has pulled the rug out from under their feet. And they do not know where to go. Psalm 18, the psalmist writes, in my trouble I called to the Lord. I called to God for my help. In His temple from on high, God heard my voice. He listened to my cry for help. And the Lord reached down from above and took hold of me and pulled me out of the deep and chaos of the waters. He rescued me when I was in trouble. The Lord protected me. He helped me out of danger and saved me because He loved me. Because He was pleased with me. This is the God who always walks with us in the valley of the shadow of death to remind us that hell or the difficulty or the trial you are going through is not, never has been, and never will be God's final story for you and your loved one. The breath, creating, renewing Spirit of God continues to blow and breathe. But when you're in some of those places, let us not forget that we are still moral agents. That we still can choose life or death, war or peace. And the Scriptures remind us to choose life. We can still exercise a God-given dominion as described in Genesis chapter 1 to make positive choices. And sometimes those positive choices may not seem like much for the moment, but you add them in positive life-giving choices even in the middle of difficulty, of faithfulness, even in the middle of struggle, and they begin to add up to a life that shapes character, not just your own, but the character and witness of those around you. When you ask God, what is your plan B? God invites you into community. One of the things I keep discovering about myself is I grow best. I grow more aware of who God is in the community of my brothers and sisters. The power of small groups. The power of gathering together just to study and pray is not about getting through the curriculum or the material. It's hearing how God speaks through the voices and experiences and spirit of others that both challenges me, refreshes me, comforts me, and invites me to grow. We become more of our best selves in the community of faith than we could ever be by ourselves. Difficult things happen in life, but they are not God's plan. They do come as opportunities, though. As opportunities to choose life and faithfulness and to seek the counsel and care of those who love and can pray for you and with you. Now that question, what does it look like if we discover we are Plan B? Let me give you a couple of examples. Let me give you the example of a place in South Africa called Moy Pius. It's a village. It's a ransacked shantytown village in the growing garbage heap outside of Pretoria, South Africa. People, 16,000 men, women, and children make a living on this garbage heap as it grows. They use its refuge to build their homes and to sustain themselves literally. No water, no electricity, no sewer. And yet in the middle of this is this mission supported by the United Methodist Church and other mission agencies that they've taken a building and renovated it, and 240 kids are taught every day about God, about how to take care of themselves. They're taught skills to grow in life. And just outside the door in a kind of cleared away area, there's a garden growing in the middle of a garbage heap. So that some of those people can have healthy food rather than what they end up finding in the garbage all around them. People pushing away the darkness to share light. Or maybe an example of how we are called to be Plan B is Emmanuel. Emmanuel is a cab driver in Denver, and he takes people all over that growing metropolis. And when he was asked about what is God's Plan B for your life, he says, I feel I am called to be a cabbie. Not a rescue mission director, not a mission relief agency. He's called just to be a cabbie. He says, because I feel I am called to spend my time with whoever comes into my cab and share light and God's grace with them in whatever way I am presented. Pushing away the darkness, casting the light. How about you? How are you God's Plan B in this community? When I think about the challenges of our community, the economic challenges we all talk about and reflect about, the economic challenges of which are still a part of our very own lives, I thank God for you because I realize you are God's Plan B in this community. When you find yourself asking that question, in the midst of all of this, God, what is your Plan B? God says, it's you. And it's me. So let your light shine that all can see. Be salt that seasons the whole lump. That we may continue this masterful work that Jesus is with us on, pushing back the darkness and bringing forth the light. Who is God's Plan B? It's you. And it's me. All God's people said.